Welcome to Grit and Gravitas with Ann and Annie, bringing you savvy, spirited stories of success. We're excited to deliver 30 minutes of inspiration, impact, and goodness. We'll be bringing you guests and friends from around the country who have very special work and personal journeys. I'm Ann Deeter Gallaher, your co-host with Annie Carnathan, and this is Grit and Gravitas. Let's go! Annie Carnathan, I brought notes today, so now you know we're getting serious. Yes, I know.
For you're in my hot takes, you have notes.
We just had a couple hot takes, so.
Don't we always? The show before the show after the show.
Fun fact, and I think I misspoke at the last recording, Kate Gillis's episode.
Which is sensational.
It is sensational.
If somebody hasn't listened to it, if you have once, do it again.
Pour
my
with
walk
purpose.
is instantly elevated listening to that. What
Kate Gillis owns Noor Coffee Shop with an incredible purpose. For those, her employees are all either Down syndrome, neurodivergent, with ability challenges, but she has like 70 people waiting to be hired. So there's no talent problem at Noor Coffee Shop, but her episode was the 100th. We should have had a party with champagne or something.
Some confetti. I mean, we did have leftover confetti in the members' first studio, but we should have had some of our own. And I will tell you that this is why people say when like a chicken place opens, another chicken place. When a hamburger place opens, another hamburger place. When a coffee shop opens, another coffee shop. That isn't it. That isn't it. It's the spirit. It's the culture. It's the why. Oh, yeah. It's the gathering place. And I would
third space. It's third spaces. Third space. And I think
what are the first two if it's a third?
Well, office and home.
Okay, right.
I think I said this in her podcast that communities are never defined by how many Starbucks they have. You're not going to say stop in Camp Hill because they do have a Starbucks on 32nd Street. They're defined by the small businesses, the coffee shops, the bookstores, yes, the Cornerstone, the PA bakeries, all the small businesses that give the charm and the fabric of that community. How's that first feel?
Well, let me give you a little bit of just a tab of a rabbit hole because it's related. So that's what irks me when we as a company cater anything, breakfast, lunch, etc., and we do it with a national chain instead of a small business. Right. And so the flip side of that is, well, the employees absolutely want this and love this. And okay, great. Couldn't they love and eat,
and
something else? Right. So it's just like we're a locally owned, family independent business who has done really well, I think, by doing good. Yeah. Right. And I think that that's one small way to give back in all the other big ways we give back. And to that point, small business, to me, is the fuel and the engine of our country.
Yeah. And some of those...
Homage to you, ADG.
Oh, thank you. So, some of the chains are franchises where the owner does live here. Well,
that's true.
So
this is not the one we use a lot.
I know.
Right.
They do give to little leagues and support, school book fairs or whatever. That's kind of my defining feature. If we can... the small businesses are always generously donating an auction basket, and add that up times 12, one a month or whatever. That's a cost. It's difficult to get the big change. You're running that request all the way up through corporate, which is a maze. So that's why I'm saying the small businesses. It's a wonderful economic circle.
Yeah, and Kate Gillis, if you can't sit there and just be moved, inspired,
love,
just hungry. Just it all washes over you, and it makes it impossible not to be intentional.
So I think we did our own little brainstorming beforehand, and we'll try not to go over 32 minutes is the average of our podcast. Do you know that?
That's good.
Yeah,
that's a fair goodbye.
It flies by for me.
Goodbye for now.
But I was telling you that interesting. I did an interview last week with our CBS 21 news station, and it was a new thing for them, new thing for us. So it was on National Women's Small Business Month, which was October. and we had 3 women-owned businesses. So myself at 25 years, Monica Gould at 31 years, and Pamela Hill at 28 years. And Candace Scalise, who's the evening anchor. And
all tribe members.
Yes.
What?
I looked at the interview because it had nothing to do with
batting 1,000.
Yeah, it had nothing to do with Grit and Gravitas. And when we were done, I was like, oh wow.
But I would submit to you it has everything to do with Grit and Gravitas, right?
So
that's the loop.
Leads me,
right,
yes, to our topic today, which I don't think we can talk enough about, and we did talk about on that interview, which sits on YouTube, so anyone can find it on CBS 21 News YouTube, is the power and imperative of networking. Like, it might sound old school, and we were talking about the younger women. Part of our takeaway is if you're a young lady with a dream and you really, today's the day for you, you want to start this business, what are the top, 2 to 3 things you need? Well, the biggest tool, I contend, is networking and building that tribe, finding that tribe, because as you've said many times, people do business with people, and people do business with people they like. So how do I even know to like you? I have to meet you in person. Then, of course, it's a shoo-in. But
and that's an EQ, emotional connection, which is, to me, in any company, not just a company like Universal Media.
Yeah.
The existential threat is IQ versus EQ.
So define those for listeners that may not, they might not understand that or have the same definition to you. Explain what you mean by that.
IQ is intelligence.
Intellectual.
Think intellectual. Think like right brain. Right. Mm-hmm. The outcome is finite. 1 + 1 = 2. Here's the data. Here's the learning.
So it's all your knowledge that you've acquired that you're going to use.
It's the ability. You know what it is? It's STEM. It's math and science. Right. And in comes, or has been there, right, under our nose for all this time, and Annie Carnathan that is whole EQ, like EQ off the charts. That's emotional intelligence. That's people skills.
Right. So give me an example of your EQ. Like where do you use that throughout the day at Universal Media?
Spectacularly every day with partners.
Okay.
When you're throwing a curveball, you don't get to say, time out.
Yeah.
Let me, or if there's conflict, you have to continue to function, to perform. Here's the thing, and it never gets old. We're not learning anything when we're talking. That's just stuff we already know.
That's a business vitamin. Okay. Yeah, and I'm talking while you're saying that you never learn anything when you're talking. That's a very good reminder at wherever you are in your career. If you're young to business or young to your first job, listen more, talk less.
You learn when you listen. Mm-hmm. And for an avid, voracious learner, and I will always be, I know what I don't know, which is the majority of things.
That's a big power skill.
But Ann, we're trying to, we're trying, right? We're moving into who's next to do the bulk of the client facing and the communication. Mm-hmm. And so moving me top to top to do check-ins. How have we done? What could we improve? How is your team? Are we off the rails anywhere? Right. Do we see a little bit of a delta that I need to be aware of? And that's a fine line because no one wants to sort of call anybody out. Nobody wants to, be the tattletale on someone. My whole thing is we're in this together in any relationship, and how do we collaborate more deeply? But one of the beauties, because it's been extraordinarily challenging, because I feel like as a company, we're way, way, way too high IQ and minimally EQ. So now we have to pivot and we have to get that in balance. And you're looking at 2 polarized brains, 2 polarized opposites. One is very, very nuanced. Another is finite, right? No, this is the way it is. Oh, you skipped this on your agenda and go back. And like you made it, So my point to that is what is one of the best things as a silver lining, and I'll always find one no matter how hard it is to look for it, is I get to sit there and listen. Mm-hmm. And the luxury of that, without having to carry the bulk, sometimes the burden of the communication, of the what's next, of a, well, here's what we would recommend. And it's knowledge sharing. It's so much condensed into each and every conversation. But EQ, you're not going to really ever bounce me entirely off the rails. You know, I'm never going to go into the fetal position or I'm never going to I'll walk into anything because I'm going to listen and we're going to find a way through if that's what we want to do.
Well, you have good discipline. So part of EQ, number one, I feel is communication, like how you communicate. You know, the not only the method you use, but the words you use. And EQ is understanding inference from you and being able to process that and not, you know, react or comprehend what you're trying to say.
And what isn't the other person saying?
Yeah.
What are you hearing that they're not saying? And I think, Anne, so much of that is it's experience.
Yeah.
Everything old is new. I mean, we're just doing something now
Nothing
that
new
I
under
did
the sun.
10 or 11 years ago. And it's like, we did that then, but the timing wasn't right.
Yeah.
It wasn't wrong. It was the wrong time. And it's interesting, the other day I said, you know, you have to stay somewhere a really long time to get lucky. Because it's all cyclical.
Yeah.
Enormously difficult year. I feel like I say that every year now. Huge setbacks in our company.
Yeah.
This year. Inevitable, right? You just have to put a foot forward. It's never what happens to you. It's how you're going to respond.
You know, that's
with
good
the
too.
grit and the resilience and the grace to live to fight another day, euphemistically, to be able to get through that. Because you and I have seen so much.
Right.
There's not a whole lot that's going to surprise us about business. So the big thing is it's not, well, I didn't have that on my bingo card and whatever, but I do think that the bulk of the fundamental things we've been through with people, with clients, with coworkers, with friends, sometimes people aren't who you thought they were, and other times they are absolutely reinforcing.
And I think EQ. So someone with high EQ can have those difficult conversations. And I talked about this in my interview, and maybe have more emotional resilience or be able to extract the emotion out of decision making that they're doing, not being so susceptible to, responding too emotionally and without clarity. So you can have the So, for example, if you're having a conversation with the CFO, that's a pretty cut and dry. You know, we got profit, we've got loss. Where are we on the spreadsheet? But then the conversation, if you're letting someone go based on the IQ, that requires EQ. You have to bring an emotional capacity of understanding the level of communication, the respect, the sensitivity to those conversations.
But I also know, in fact, that what I constantly struggle with and am not disciplined enough in is the ability to say what I need to say in such a way that doesn't alienate people. That doesn't...
Well, how do you do that? Well, with empathy.
Because of style.
Yeah.
Of course.
With empathy.
Of course. And you and I go back to this all the time. And I try to tell people we're trying to develop into leaders. Mm-hmm. And my husband just reminded me of this the other night. If you want to be liked, don't be a leader, sell ice cream. You know, and that's one of the oldest things in the world because, Anne, there is not a singular
But
decision.
I want both.
Right?
I want all three. I want to be liked, I want to be a leader, and I love ice cream.
And that therein lies the rub, especially when I don't see you the majority of the time and we're hands to keyboard behind tech. Are you kidding me? Interpret me behind? Yeah. I'm just like, boom, boom, boom. Like, that's just, now I'm on to the next thing. It has absolutely nothing to do with who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, analytical brains don't react to that the way in which, and if someone makes a decision about a client, I go, no, that's going to be counterintuitive to who he, like, well, aren't I doing this to make decisions? Yes, but that's going to materially impact the persona of the top leader that hired us, right? So it might on paper for whatever reason look like. So my only point to all of this, because it's really been a struggle, is that it has to meet in the middle. And just like for a lot of years, Ann, we were all EQ and just got accounts until we really
based
pivoted.
on relationships. So
Yes,
that's what you're saying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then we looked up and we're like, right? There's all this tech. There's all this, and then we got a new president who had a huge, eye on that,
right,
from a Wharton really well-rounded business acumen, precisely what we wanted and needed, fresh eyes, who's next, and it just took a whipsaw, and just that quickly we went entirely away from EQ to IQ and building out.
So does it have to be one or the other when it swung like that? Couldn't you keep the IQ? Did you have to level out the EQ, or what do you explain that? What there was it one or the other?
Yep, and I think that was a huge setback for me.
Yeah. In
terms of just sitting back, hands off the wheel, saying the day-to-day and the leadership.
You're not good at hands off the wheel. I'm not either.
Well, but so I think that's an interesting point, because how I grew up in broadcast. Yeah. I didn't have a partner in broadcast that I then sort of pivoted to someone else to take care of day to day. Like that was, you're talking 25 years of everything me. Yeah. Then you get to this level and there's absolutely no way I could be everything to everyone.
Right.
At the magnitude we rose to day in and day out. There's so many moving parts. Right, there's so many different people. 12 to 14 people work on an account every day. So my point is, I do think it was part me. I do think I didn't pipe up early and often enough, not for what was happening, but for how the EQ, but the sales part was getting left further and further behind, because in that time we're building out and have built out a really successful sales organization. Yeah. And that has to be represented. And that isn't a linear do this, get that. It's messy. Clients are messy. Well, I need this project by this time because I'm rescheduling that meeting. Well, he can't make it. It didn't get rescheduled yet. Well, then why did we have such tight deadlines and this, right? Like there's just things that happen. But that's a point of view that you have to bring into the agency because they don't have it. Yeah. Right? So mentoring, right, is sort of counterintuitive, right? Like I have to learn more about what it means in the process. I don't have to explain it like they do, but I sure better know it. And they have to understand more of sales and acquisition because they're all the retention. Right. See how symbiotic that is. And I think I allowed that to get very, very off the tracks. And in my desire to sort of say whatever you want to do, that's why you're doing this now. Right.
So are you saying, did you abdicate, or you just gave them room to lead? And
I did.
Yeah.
I absolutely did.
So would you do things differently?
100%.
Okay, what would you do differently?
What I would do differently is say, and just like, right, it's the frequency is, hey, love all this. but we have to say for each and every single decision we make, how does it impact sales? And oh, by the way, in my estimation, we have to become a sales organization because nothing stays in business without accounts.
Oh, yeah.
And and think about it, when that's a process that I grew up in, I know that better than anything, is building sales teams, building sales organizations, performance metrics, like that. And I haven't really used that muscle solely.
Right.
In now 15 years. But it was like riding a bike. So I'm like, so I think a little bit too, Ann, it took me a little bit to get there to go, okay, what is my value? Like, what is my main purpose as it pivots? Because it's not the presidency. It's not the day-to-day. It's not that, right? So you're accepting that at the same time.
But you're still at the helm. You're still
yes,
yeah,
CEO. But we never had a CEO as a standalone. We always had a president CEO.
Yeah.
So that was being defined,
right?
And I think it was a lot more defined publicly because of me and my presence and my contributions, and I'm there.
Yeah.
More so in the building, because it's just harder when people aren't gathering 100% of the time, which is also why I think all the public places have sort of exploded. I said to you the other day, events are more well attended now than I have ever seen them be attended. I think we're digressing from mentorship, but
well, it was networking. We started out with
networking, but the entirety is, how do I then, right, pass that on?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I have to grow the sales team into leaders that are going to represent that are going to say the difficult thing. So if a salesman says, oh, hey, here's this breakdown in the system, blah, blah, blah. I say, okay, who did you tell? I didn't tell anybody. Okay, how's it going to get fixed?
Well, the EQ conversation, I know. We started out with 2 other topics, which we'll do next time. I love the IQ, EQ, the difference and how it plays out in the workplace.
That's an existential, every company issue, I think.
So how do you prepare the younger workers in the team to recognize EQ and the value of relationship building? That really, I just said this to Marissa, who works for me. We're in the people business. And sometimes you're in the advice business, consulting business, counseling business, separate from the service that you're selling. You have to work with people. You meet them where they're at. If you've got a client and you're doing a whole paid social campaign, whoever the point person is, if they come to you with this deep burden they have, they had something going on, you're not talking about the metrics and the impressions and, how many times the ad popped up on any specific device. You're talking about them. So that deepens the relationship. You have to have EQ to be able to discern that person needs a different level of conversation than what was on your agenda. So, I mean, do you see that coming in the younger people or even older people? Is there a capacity for EQ and understanding? I mean, you put it great, knowing what you don't know.
I think there's one way, and that's to be together.
No, that's good.
So,
good.
So the pivot, and I'm thrilled with it. I did not legislate it.
Yeah.
It's not my decision.
Are you guys all back in?
I'm sorry. No.
Okay.
But I don't. Whether that ship has sailed permanently, not my decision, right?
You said the pivot. I thought you meant the pivot.
No, the pivot is to being together more. So,
yeah.
Department head meetings, which happen every Monday, quarterly now are going to be together.
Oh, good. Good.
And I had to call out like who of these people really know who I am.
Yeah.
So we were Galluped again, Strengths Finder. Mm-hmm. I'm fascinated by that 7th or 8th time, and it is so precisely me that it's frightening. So I like action. I'm like a whole other, okay, so what are we going to like?
No way.
Yeah. So I do think that's, so what is really special about me and what is how I'm challenged. And it's because I have, I'm the nutty professor blowing things up in the lab, and I don't make it clear to people before I'm on to the next thing, what I'm asking them to do.
Well,
right. And that's true.
That's communication skills, understanding. Mm-hmm. You think they know what you want to do.
Because I know clearly what I want. Right? So figure it out.
But the burden is on you. The burden is on the leaders to clearly explain. So you have to tap into your emotional intelligence. Yes. And you may communicate. So did you know this is the first time ever we've got 5 generations in the workplace?
There you go.
So you are, the 18-year-old that's coming in, maybe right out of high school, who is a digital native, doesn't know anything different, doesn't have any idea what a landline looks like. They communicate differently than the boomer, who's ready, thinking about retiring, but actually, like we were talking earlier, still wants another season, a plus season there to continue
tread on the tire, wants to keep going. Sure.
The challenge for an organization is to understand, how do we keep the ship sailing, in the direction that the CEO wants it to go, and the strategy has set the course, and get the team to collaborate together when you have so many different expectations and goals and even basic understanding of each generation.
Yeah, well, I mean, I said this to you, Tanya Walsh, good friend at Mounts. Her daughter is now, on the marketing staff, digital native.
Yeah.
Tanya's us, and it's fascinating to hear. Plus, there are 3 or 4 other people in the marketing department.
Yeah.
And Mounts does a spectacular job, just as a marketer. Sensational job. Everybody on ramps to their amplification, so she's in, and ultimately, Tanya's son will come into the store mainly on the operations side.
Right,
so think about that.
right.
How glorious is that?
Yes.
That's just really heartwarming to me for a family-owned business that's done so well, and the onus is on us to communicate. And now we also created Identity, which is groups of random employees that have to get together.
Oh, good.
Tell me about
that. Tell me about that.
It doesn't matter how, when, where, or what. It could be coffee. It could be lunch.
So who sets the groups? Who designs the groups, or is it self-forming?
The El Presidente set the groups. So I don't know if he did that.
By design?
But these are all, well, I mean, I looked at all of them and I thought this is just genius.
Like someone from finance is going to meet with an account leader.
Yes.
Oh, that's good. Different sides
it's sensational. It's brilliant,
good.
Right? And so again,
that's
I think,
cool. That's another business item.
Yeah.
Upset the apple cart.
Right.
Now and then.
So here's the other part I think of me and tech and having to communicate in short bursts. And I said to people, I said to my salesman the other day, you just talk on and on and on and on and on, right? First of all, you're challenging people's attention span. They don't have that anymore. And number 2, they think in sound bites. They think in short bursts of that's what we've taught them to do now. It's a different kind of communication. And I can tell when I talk too long, these start looking away. They start working on something else. But I think what happens is I'm saying this, which tends to be what about, and I'm so curious, and I'm a huge why person. Unearth why for me, and I'm on board, but it tends to be negative. So it's every time you open your mouth, it's negative. Ooh, right? But that's a byproduct that I have to own to consider how I'm not communicating properly with what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Because I don't want that persona man, that takes the wind out of my sails. But of course I have to own it. So I think mentoring, and I think the things that go along with networking are people of the same ilk to whatever degree the comfortability is there to be, right? Even though we're different, we're all different.
Yeah.
I think what is the philosophical alignment where we can all grow and benefit from the diversity?
Right.
Instead of being
I think and that's what the Strengths Finder does. It tells you who on your team has these strengths.
Sensational. It's just a great exercise. Yeah. It's like a blueprint for someone.
And I think discovering, so I'm sure the most powerful way would be to use it in the hiring process to understand, and then better understand how people would work together. What is your EQ level, and what is your right brain, left brain? How would you work as a team? How would you take orders, so to speak? Are you compliant? Are you complacent? Are you obstinate? What are your work characteristics or traits that would make you a good team member, or or an outlier that isn't some
ever going to integrate.
Entrepreneurs never make it to the next level because everything is in their head. They are the lead, they are the business. And if you can't get out of that in transition, it's a tough transition to bring on more people, a COO or more people on the team that would carry your vision. It's impossible to do it all. You can't empty the trash forever.
No, and any truly integrated business is the operation game, right? The old school operation game where everything's attached to something else in your body. Nothing.
I love that game.
Nothing in your body operates outside of your body, right? It's all here, right? That's a human being, and I think we underestimate those connections, just like it or not. And very few people in a business are outliers. I mean, they can be out there, but at the end of the day, they're expendable because they're not really part of the hard bit, right? So I think that's what I think, right? And look, I never wanted my own business. I've never had my own business. There's like finite reasons for that. They've never changed. But I also think that from a business perspective, I have a good idea of the operational side and the sales side, because one without the other, there's no company.
So go back to, and clearly this whole episode is on IQ and EQ. Go back to the person who said to you, every time you open your mouth, it's something negative. So obviously it was a business setting. At what level was that person? And kudos that you created a company that allowed that conversation. Not everybody. We've talked about the emperor with no clothes.
It was crushing to me. It really hurt my feelings. I'm just going to tell you.
So there.
And we're at the end of the show. Do we want to do a part 2 seriously? Because no, it really. No.
So listen. Okay. Because that's fascinating.
Okay.
Because you're a pretty tough exterior. You have a lot of emotional resilience.
Emphasis on exterior, and that's the. Are you an acquaintance or are you my friend? Are you a business relationship or are you my friend? Because exterior has absolutely nothing to do. Right? So
how did you wait? Was it a leader?
It was a really high up person that I really covet. So their opinion, it crushed me.
And did you change accordingly? Did you change the lens of how you spoke?
Oh, for sure. I licked my wounds.
How you delivered.
Here's the thing. I think that no matter how hurt you are, you have to look at the lens, look in the mirror, and say, this is somebody I really value, I very much care about, love, and respect. Respect is the pillar for me. I want and need to respect you, and that's what I want to earn from you. That's the currency. And like, if he's going to say that, I have to take that to heart. But it was a lot of hard hurt.
But kind of, it's a special relationship that someone would risk the respect and the friendship to tell you the truth in their perspective, which I'm assuming if someone at that level saw that or felt that, there were others that saw or felt that. So he or she is honestly protecting you, saying this is, do you see what I see? Is this a change worth making?
No, I don't think that's it at all. And I think it's different when a man is saying something to you.
That's true too.
There is absolutely no way that I would ever get any of that out of a man. If you said that was a woman, I'm buying it, right? To certain degrees. But
a man's perspective in doing that is, do you think more just to be mean-spirited, or do you think still speaking the truth?
I think for the same reason, frustration.
Yeah.
Like, we're not singing from the same song sheet. I mean, I could go on and on and on, but at the end of the day, no matter what those circumstances are, you know, you have to be careful. I have to be careful they're not excuses, but here's the thing. I push people all the time. And it gets to be push to, right? I get that. For those on YouTube, it was an explosion type meme or mime. So I think I get it. I push people.
So did you change your delivery? What did you change with 100%. That knowledge? Okay.
I mean, I just softened anything, and I go through, which doesn't make them happy because it takes more of an explanation, and I get through it. This is why. This is what I see. And I really try, if it's not in my lane, to throw in a for what it's worth. But then every once in a while, say I'm the CEO, I should be able to do all this.
I know, but remember, their lens is totally different.
That's exactly right. And it's a different company in terms of there's an org chart, but lots of broken lines, if you know what I mean.
But I think, so another business vitamin is to surround yourself with people who will tell you the hard truth.
The hard truth, because to be honest perfectly, Ann, I don't know that would not be uttered anywhere else I was.
Well, and we could have a whole session on another thing I'm going to say is, it's often said, you know, in the workplace, for workplace health, you can bring your whole authentic self. Not really.
I wouldn't want to.
Do we? Yeah, I'm saying, so
they're not.
What does that mean?
Everybody doesn't deserve my full authentic self. Like, that's not why I'm at work.
Yeah, what
I got my full authentic self for my own life, right? I don't need to bring it to work. That's not why I'm working.
Okay, we're going to open up a whole nother topic on that.
Let's do that.
How often have you heard that, though? I mean, I say that to my very small team, but in a large organization,
we
there's
need
probably some things I don't want to know.
Let's make that another topic. Yeah. And whet the appetites of our listeners, because this is good stuff.
We totally veered off.
Well, you know, I think, too, that people say to me, like, I'm willing to be vulnerable here. I really don't have transparency, so I'm so flawed. And I think for someone who focuses on that versus what my superpowers, God-given talents are, I appreciate the people that remind me of that, too.
Oh, yeah.
Because I am what I am. I'm going to focus on the things I have to get better on. And that sort of robs a little of the enjoyment of what you've accomplished. Like, I get all this. I get it. I'm very self-reflective, very self-aware. And oftentimes I know how I am an acquired taste and rub people the wrong way. And I'm absolutely more intentional. Even when somebody says, what do you think? I know they don't really want to know what I think. You know, so I interpret that.
I do want to know what you think. Because
I don't know. Sometimes, right? But I do think I'm intentional about that. Look, I have a really high EQ. And lots of times I know what I know, I see what I see, and I never share any of it, right?
And sometimes that's good.
That's
we call that having a governor.
That's the discipline.
Sometimes that is the wisest thing to do. And that comes with, living longer. To understand that saying such may burn a bridge that it comes wouldn't be well received.
With unpacking your childhood, it comes with a lot of therapy. No. It comes with hearing the hardest things. I feel like,
did we just have a counseling session? I'm not sure.
I don't know, but it's good, right? Wait, because here's the last thing way I'll end this, because it should be a part B, right? Part 2.
Yes.
Is that you are bringing your authentic self, and therein lies the irony of anything you're doing every day in life. You're taking yourself with you. And that's why I say the grass is the greenest where you water it, because I got to take me somewhere. Guess what will change? Nothing. It's still me taking me somewhere else for all the same things that are going to be present and have to get worked on. Right?
So I love, we didn't design this as an IQ, EQ conversation, but I thank you for defining a lot of it, for what that means to you.
Right.
Opening up a little bit about, your workplace. And I think listeners, myself included, have some introspection to do and just understanding what we say and how it affects others around you. The emotional impact we can have on others with how we deliver our communication. Understanding we have 4 to 5 generations, and understanding, you can't bring too much respect and empathy into the workplace.
It's great to see you.
You too, Annie Carnathan. Thank you to all our listeners on streaming channels and YouTube. Have a very high gear day.
Happy 100 to us. We've never looked better.
I know. There we go. Thank you. Thanks for listening. It's our desire that these stories will bring energy, ideas, and fresh thinking that you can use today. Subscribe to our podcast and follow us on Instagram, and have a high gear day.